Well, hello. Welcome to the Moviegoers Society podcast brought to you by Nerdtropolis. I'm your host, Sean Toshford, the mayor of Nerdtropolis. And of course, joining once again is my awesome co-host, Drew Munhausen, the professional media and movie mastermind. And real quick, as we just got our first comment, I have to wish you happy National Popcorn Day.
So my older daughter just had her 5th birthday party, and we did it at a bowling alley, but the bowling alley was in a Cinemark movie theater.
Oh, wow.
And because of National Popcorn Day, they were doing any size popcorn was $5. So we got several of the largest buckets possible for the party. So there's just like unlimited popcorn for everybody, except you couldn't refill them because they were $5. So you could just get another one. But still, like a large popcorn is typically over $10 or around $10. So you
didn't bring any home? Did you bring any home? No.
We did. We had.
Where is it? It should have brought it on camera. I should have popped some popcorn.
It was just the disposable bucket, like almost like the square one. So it wasn't like a cool bucket necessarily.
Not a cool one like this one.
I can say that not like Slimer. But I can say I enjoyed popcorn on National Popcorn Day.
No, it's awesome. And obviously, happy birthday to your daughter. Tons of fun, I guess, with popcorn. And you can see I got the Wolverine popcorn bucket kind of tucked there. And then behind there with Grogu, there's actually a Garfield popcorn bucket behind me in the very back. Speaking of popcorn buckets, I do have that Captain America shield. Did you see AMC announce like the new Captain America popcorn bucket for the new movie?
I didn't. Is it like a Red Hulk fist or something?
No, it's the shield. And if you flip it like on the back side, it's a bucket. So like it's a bucket and they attach a shield to it. It's weird. So when you sit on it, the shield's facing downward. I wish I had a picture of it. I wish I had it saved. I have it somewhere.
I'm looking it up.
But like we mentioned in the last episode, 2024 was the year of the popcorn buckets, but I feel like that was a test. And I feel like this year we're going to see a lot more stuff, a lot more merchandise with films.
I'm seeing it. So it's like, if you're holding it on
upside down,
you see the shield, and then it sits on the shield like a bowl.
Yeah, it's very interesting. Kind of cool, but kind of odd at the same time.
Yeah, you just while you're enjoying your popcorn, you cannot see the cool Captain America shield, but it's still cool.
Yeah, it's still cool. I wonder how much it is. I know Emmanuel, who is with us right now, maybe he'll be getting that. I don't know. It's an AMC one. Those go fast, and I know Regal and Cinemark have their own. So yeah, all popcorn buckets. I was sad there wasn't one for this movie. On this episode, we're gonna sink our teeth into Wolfman, the latest monster movie from Universal and Blumhouse. And the question we were asking, obviously, is Wolfman all bark, no bite? Let me see if my stuff has come up. Okay, there we go. All right, I'm playing with some new settings. Oh, yes.
Sorry, somebody had to.
Someone had to do it. Hopefully we don't get a copyright strike. No, I'm playing. That's an iconic sound right there. So for those tuning in live, those that are tuning in on replay, whatever, have you seen Wolfman already this weekend? And if you did, let us know your thoughts in the comments below. You can tweet it to us, but leave your comments below on our YouTube channel on this video. I gotta see this obviously for the press screening. Drew, when did you end up seeing this one?
I saw this at a Thursday night screening on opening night.
And you said it was packed with you and one other person.
Yeah. I was gonna say not so much. I went to a 7:30 screening.
PM, AM,
PM. Yeah. On that Thursday when it was available, and it was me and one other person. So.
Well, that's unfortunate. I don't know. Do you have the box? Can you pull up the box office numbers as we talk about this Lee Whannell film?
I was just pulling it up because I think that early in the projections, Wolfman was projected, like early on, was projected to make around $20 million, and it made about half of that. It was just over $10 million, and it was projected to make more than the new movie with Keke Palmer and SZA, the One of Them Days.
Which has already profited, I believe. The budget was low. I think the budget was 10 million and it's already made 15, if I'm correct, if I read that.
It made 14 worldwide. So it made 11.6 domestic. So, but it was number one at the box office. And it's kind of surprising that this, a comedy, which, tend to not do as well in theaters these days, did better than a new Universal monsters kind of reimagining.
I mean, that's Sony Pictures, and they started really strong. I know Emmanuel, who's with us in chat, saw that movie. He really liked it. He was telling us it's got like Friday feels. The movie Friday.
Mhm.
It's got vibes like that. So maybe we definitely have to catch that one. But yes, we're talking Wolfman. Lee Wanell, who is known for his work on Saw, Insidious, and obviously connected to the monster world, is Invisible Man. And surprisingly, I did not see Invisible Man. Have not seen his version. Did you see that movie, Drew?
Yes, and I loved it. I went in with kind of little to no expectations, and I thought that movie was great. Actually, I thought it was creative. It did some new things. It was kind of perfectly timed when it came out. It's actually one of the last movies I remember seeing in theaters before COVID hit, like, because I think that was February 2020 ish. So I remember seeing that in theaters. I just kind of remember that timing, but I was just genuinely impressed by it. And yeah, so I went into well, first off, when I found out that Lee Whannell was doing Wolfman, I was like, awesome, because I really liked the Invisible Man. Let's see him do something new with Wolfman. And so I went into Wolfman with a lot of goodwill.
So like
before having seen it.
Yeah, like you and others, I feel like went in with high expectations because of Invisible Man. I have not seen it. I'm not a horror guy, but for me, I got to talk for me personally. Before we do deep dives and kind of go back and forth and stuff like that, I really felt like this movie, this version of Wolfman, was something very fresh, something new, blending emotion with just some tension in there. And I think it made it more than just your typical creature feature. And at its heart, Wolfman is about family. That's what I kind of got from it. And like I said, not a horror guy, and I actually enjoyed it for what was kind of given to us. And the film stars Christopher Abbott as Blake, and it's about a man grappling with some serious life struggles. He inherits a remote farmhouse in Oregon, setting a eerie and authentic, kind of setting what's going to happen. And I kind of like how we start off in the movie, kind of seeing his childhood as well. But then there's also some tensions with kind of his wife and like where they're at in their relationship. But I love seeing also the showcasing of his relationship with his daughter as well. And they kind of go to this farm, I guess, and run into some things, and things change out. And his wife is played by Julia Garner, who will be our Silver Surfer in the Fantastic Four movie. So I was excited to kind of see her, because I'm not very familiar with her and her work. And she adds a kind of like an emotional weight to the film, especially when they have some mild issues that don't really talk about too much, but you can tell there's some tension between husband and wife as they're going to this farm. And also he has a very strong relationship with his daughter, which plays out later. So family dynamic is not just background noise for this film. There's also an emotional anchor, I think, with that as well. Drew, what did you think about the cast, which is a very small cast? There's not much to this film, which I was actually surprised about. The house.
Well, do you know some of the history of this movie?
Yes, because the lead, Christopher Abbott, was later added. It was supposed to be Ryan Gosling, right? Is that what it was supposed to be?
Ryan Gosling had like made a pitch for this movie and to star in it, and it was supposed to be a different director. It's Derek Cianfrance. I don't know if I'm pronouncing that right, but that director and Gosling had history working together because he did Blue Valentine and The Place Beyond the Pines. And so I guess Gosling had done kind of like a pitch, which I thought was really fascinating. Like Ryan Gosling in a Wolfman movie seemed inspired. And the fact
he's a big name, especially when this is coming out after the big a lot of big hits, not just Barbie, but he was on a roll. Obviously with also Fall Guy. So this movie would have been just like maybe another big hit for him, but he didn't want to be a part of it.
Yeah, I think there were some the dreaded scheduling conflicts that we hear a lot, and he had to drop out. And then Lee Whannell came on, and I was like, well, that's really cool because I liked The Invisible Man. And then Christopher Abbott is a kind of a newer star, but I like him. Like I've had my eye on Christopher Abbott for a bit.
Where do we know him from?
Oh gosh, I'm trying to think of what he's like. So there's a movie called Possessor that came out in 2020. That's a lesser seen horror movie directed by Brandon Cronenberg.
Hold on real quick. Let's not forget he's in Craven the Hunter. This is the foreigner.
Oh
It's
yeah, it's
funny
a
for
really small. He's got a pretty
Nick,
small
oh,
part
he's
in it.
not a small role. I do remember him now. We should have just rephrased this. That star who Craven the Hunter is in Wolfman, which is a funny transition from those two films. But sorry, go ahead.
He had a memorable part in Poor Things, the Emma Stone movie
Oh,
from
that's right.
2023. There's actually a pretty good movie that he's in with Gerard Carmichael called On the Count of Three that I watched. He's been around. He's just one of those guys that like if you weren't really looking for him, he could be kind of that guy, but it seems like they're really pushing to make him more of a star. I'm looking to see his TV credits if he's been in any shows.
He was on that
Um,
show. I just saw The Crowded Room, which was a mini series. But he's kind of a fresh face. He's kind of a fresh
he is
face
kind
trying
of
to
a
make it.
fresh face, but he's been around. He's 38 years old, so I'll just say this: when they cast him in this movie, I was like, cool. Like, because I like him enough. I'm like, give him a starring role in a cool horror franchise. Let's see what he does. And I thought he was good in this. So
Yeah, I will say that I thought he was really good in this. I'm not a horror guy, but I love like the Universal monster stuff's really cool. Like when you do like textbook monsters, I like it. I don't like getting scared too much, and so I was kind of taken back when I saw this was rated R and some of the trailers seemed really creepy and stuff. But honestly, I was not scared in this movie. I'm probably jumping a little ahead to what I wanted to say. I was not scared in this movie at all, which probably is the biggest problem for this movie, that it didn't really go as far with that R rating that it could have. I will start off with that. Um, Everything you kind of saw coming was coming, and like I said, this movie really is not supposed to. I don't think it was supposed to scare you. It was trying to tell a story, and family, like I said, is the anchor of this movie and a lot of other stuff. Um, but really set it apart. I've never seen like a werewolf movie kind of told in this way. It's pretty cool, and I'm gonna spoilers. I guess, do we have a spoilers banner? Let me see. We still have that one. I'll put it down there. Bam, bam, real quick. As people popping in and out, and I will say the wolf on wolf action is really what like I was sold on. Like that was probably I did not expect that, honestly, and I'm glad they delivered on that, and it was pretty impressive to me. And the fact that this whole movie also takes place in like pretty much one evening, and how quickly they got to where they needed to, no time was wasted. So I loved it. I didn't feel like I was bored. I didn't have enough time to question anything because I felt like it flowed pretty well. Maybe sometimes it did slow down because you want them to keep moving, and I feel like they just felt isolated in that cabin, which is a really perfect backdrop. And every scene really felt grounded. Like there's no crazy CGI or effects. The only effects I can think of is wolf vision. The wolf vision they introduced, which I wish was explored a little more. And visually, I thought it was very odd and really made no sense on wolf vision. So that's where I'm at right now until we. But I thought he was a great. I thought the cast was great, especially Christopher Abbott. Which circling back to that. What were your favorite parts of him? You thought he really brought it all for this film?
yeah, I thought he was really good. I actually really like Julia Garner in general. I'm actually not an Ozark person. I didn't watch all of Ozark, and I know that's probably what a lot of people know her from, but I have seen some movies that she's been in. And even most recently at Fantastic Fest, I saw Apartment 7A, which is the Rosemary's Baby prequel, which I think that movie
Oh, that's her.
is good, is okay, but like her performance in it is really good.
That's right. She
And
is in that. I saw that. She was really good in that. Yeah, I agree with
so
you.
I was excited. I was almost more excited for her in this movie than Christopher Abbott, and I thought she was kind of underused. But Christopher Abbott was good and was able to carry the movie.
Well, I think it's also because of the father-daughter relationship. They're pushing that very hard and to kind of show the disconnect because she's not really connected to the daughter, and they talk about that. So, but still, it's a shame that she is underutilized in much of the movie.
And I think that gets to some of the issues I had with this movie overall. So for me, overall, I thought this movie was fine. I did enjoy it, but the main issue I had with it was every time I thought the movie was really gonna do something cool or had a cool idea, and I was like, and it would interest me, it just would never really capitalize on that moment. And so, like I said, I'm coming from The Invisible Man, which I thought was really innovative and I really enjoyed. And so in this one, like as an example, there's a moment where this is like kind of a light spoiler, but
And I forgot
you've
I have a
already
slideshow here, so I
we've
forgot I had
already
some.
we've already flashed the spoiler banner. So I'm just gonna say there's a moment where we first off, let me say the trailer for this movie kind of shows Christopher Abbott's gonna become Wolfman, right? That's in the trailer. And the trailer really sets it up to be like he's hunting his own family after this transition. So you kind of know that's coming. So there's a few moments in this movie though where he's kind of mid transition, where he's very ill seeming. And there's a specific moment where Julia Garner's character is like on a radio testing things out. And he kind of goes into that wolf vision that you described. And there's this really cool perspective change. And I was like, oh, I see what they're doing. This movie is now changing from being Christopher Abbott's movie to being Julia Garner's movie. Like, we're changing perspective here because he is now changing into this wolf. He is losing himself. And now it's going to become Julia Garner's movie. And I feel like it never really committed to that. So
No, it didn't. That's actually a cool thing that you said. I didn't even think about it like that. And that would have been a nice switch and really more powerful doing that, because they did a beautiful job showing the transition early on from man to Wolfman. And it, even though it's one night, it's pretty slow process because you can still see the humanity in his eyes and just, just him trying to fight it at the same time. So yeah, that's actually, I never thought about it that way.
yeah, so like I thought that was really cool, but then like I said, it just never really committed to that because it still would kind of switch back and forth. And the other thing is, you already said this. I think we can mention that there's multiple wolves, which I mean, he has to be converted to a wolf somehow, right? So that's kind of goes without saying. But there was another moment where I'm like, oh, the trailers were really kind of trying to throw you like it's going to be more of a him defending his family rather than hunting his family. But then it doesn't even really commit to that either. It kind of tries to have its
I
cake and
don't
eat it
know about
too.
that. That's another spoiler we can get into.
Yeah, I'm sorry if I'm probably
No,
saying
no,
too
this is
much
gonna be
here, but
all of these. No, all of these episodes that we're doing probably are gonna be spoiler filled. Like we cannot hold back when we do these, especially how we're doing them now. Speaking of like protecting the family, I think he is. I even think towards the end he's protecting his family and he's trying to explain to them, you need to do what you got to do. And that's what I really liked about this film is he still tried to protect his family even after everything else. So what you're saying, they didn't fully commit? I think they were, but they were kind of like tiptoeing around it a little bit to kind of make you question what his motives were when he was technically not fully Wolfman yet. There was still a twinkle in his eyes and stuff like that. And let's see what I forget what photos I have in this slideshow. I did a lot, but yeah, you talk about whether they're getting chased, and then establishing. I wish they did switch, doing the story from her point of view. I thought that would have been a nice little twist there. Let's talk about sound design for a moment because my theater was super loud and it cranked it up, and then I really noticed, and they even talk about this in interviews, that sound is very important in this film. Did you feel that?
yeah, because it utilizes silence well too. Yeah, I saw this in a Dolby theater, and I thought the sound was good. So the sound design, the kind of feel of like leaving or stepping outside this house that they're hiding out in, and like the silence when they would step out, or you don't know if something's around the corner. Like there is a good feeling of dread or uncertainty in this movie, which helps overall. Um, yeah, the sound design was good. Can we talk a little bit about the creature design, the visuals of the Wolfman itself?
Yeah. So, people complained about the creature design, uh, because they saw it, I guess, at Universal. They had like one of the employees dressed up as it is very like look like a hobo man, losing his
Oh
hair and stuff
no.
like that. Um, and I thought though, as the story was told, I had no real problems with actually what he looked like. It was actually terrifying at the same time. I think the transition was what they were trying to really emphasize. And the transition's really scary. And there's also some really squirmish rated R scenes. You can see the blood around his mouth in this one. And then there was one that I had if I already passed it, it was where he was gnawing on himself. Know?
Mhm. Oh yeah, that was our
Yeah,
opener. Yeah, that's a good scene.
yeah. And you slowly see, his skin and fingers changing and everything else. So I actually like the creature design. What about you, Drew?
I did too. I liked that it was doing something new. So like we all know kind of the classic Universal monsters, Wolfman of old. Um,
Teen
you
Wolf 2.
know,
I like Teen Wolf.
yeah, more in that territory, but like from the 40s, the classic, just the hair all over, and the movie they did in 2010, the Benicio del Toro movie, kind of was paying more homage to that and looked more like that. This really highlights the man part of Wolfman. Like it really looks like a combo. It's not there is hair, associated with it as we expect with the Wolfman, but not to the same extent. I don't know. I did like that this jumped away from the old school kind of werewolf or wolfman lore, right? Like this isn't man who turns into wolf at a full moon. This is man who transitions to wolfman, and that's it as far as we know. We don't get, it's not like we get somebody reading us the lore of this movie. It's just, but my impression is once you transition to wolfman, there's no transitioning
Right.
back. That's
But there is a
that's
lore at the
new
beginning of the
normal.
film. I forget it, but they had the text and they were talking about the lands, and there is a lore of that. And initially, the movie opens up with Christopher's character as a young boy with his dad hunting, and his dad not knowing secretly was kind of there with his son trying to hunt down the original Wolfman. And
Yeah,
then
like this is it's definitely a legend that people have passed down. That is it real, is it not, kind of thing in this area. But not it's like a Bigfoot type thing, right? It's like there's this story, but nobody knows if it's really real until somebody sees it and they say, yeah, it is real.
Yeah, so I'm always curious. Like, I actually would love to see like a prequel or something to see like kind of the first Wolfman, especially in that area, and then all that stuff. Because the story takes a really sharp turn because we learn that his father passes away, and that's why they're going back to the cabin to go collect his stuff and so forth. And once they get there, I mean, it's kind of horrifying when they run into a Wolfman and they have to veer off the road, and that the whole theater was kind of shocked on that. So there's a lot of great scenes in this film. Actually, it's actually, I thought, like I said, I didn't see Invisible Man, so I was not looking for like a Oscar award winning horror Wolfman movie. I was truly entertained. Didn't second guess any decision making that even some of the characters made. I'm like, you don't know what to do. You're in a farm with nobody around, and you're dealing with this. And like I said, this is new territory for a Wolfman monster movie. A lot of new things introduced thematically, and especially with the design and stuff like that. And I made him more sympathetic. You feel bad even for whoever the other Wolfman is as well, what's going on, and you kind of piece things together of what's going on.
I'd be interested to hear, like, I haven't listened to any interviews with Lee Winnell or anything to see if there is any kind of deeper meaning here that he was trying to convey. Like, we know that the characters from early on, Christopher Abbott, Julia Garner's characters, they're married, but their marriage isn't in a great spot, and that's kind of what leads to this adventure that they're on. And I'm like, okay. And so I started thinking, I'm like, is this Wolfman transition going to be some sort of metaphor for like their relationship, or like somebody changing from how they used to be in the relationship? But like, I don't think it really commits to that. Again, I keep making a lot of comparisons to The Invisible Man, but I think because of the Universal monsters origin of both of these, it's kind of an apt comparison. But like, the Invisible Man movie came out when we were really still in the midst of like the Me Too movement. And it was this movie that's from a female perspective, and she's being hunted by this invisible man and saying like, and trying to tell people about it, and nobody believes her. And so it was timely, and it was a commentary on like what was going on in the big picture. And so like This movie, I just feel like didn't really do anything like that. So again, like when
nothing too strong, I would tell you this though. Remember, his dad would yell at him, and then he would yell at his daughter, and he didn't like that, so
right.
there is something there.
That's a good point. Becoming your father, whether you want to or not, like there are some things here that you could pull. And I don't know. I just nothing really like blew me away in the same way that the Invisible Man movie did. And so that just kind of left me feeling like, it's not that I didn't like this movie at all. Like, I thought it was totally serviceable and an enjoyable time at the theater, but it just left me wanting more. Like I
More.
was just hoping for something greater. And I'd love to know what the Ryan Gosling movie would have looked like and what that vision was, because who knows?
Right. Emmanuel says, I felt Wolfman was well shot, but the story was stretched too thin. It could have worked better as a short film with under shorts. He's like, it's like a Twilight Zone episode. That's what he told me earlier, too. And yeah, I agree. Like, it opened up kind of an interesting world as well as things go forward and what they introduce. I liked the dynamic with the father and the daughter, and she's like, "Can you read his mind?" Right? She could read his mind as a,
Oh
as a
yeah,
little
yeah. They're little. That's like their little thing.
little game.
Yeah.
Yeah, the little thing, and it was kind of cute, and it played well at the end. you know, um, because I'm just thinking about it. It's an emotional film if you think about it. Like it's sad, it's touching at the same time, and so that's why wasn't scared watching it because I was trying to tell a human story amongst all this. Um, and then revealed, who the new Wolfman is that turned him was his own father. And that's another like emotional kick too, a little bit. And I was actually surprised like how the wife knew that was the dad because it didn't seem like they had a relation. They didn't know about him because first of all, he was missing for what, 30? I don't know how long he was missing.
Yeah, I don't. Yeah, I'm not
If
sure.
they ever met, I'm not sure if they ever met.
I don't think they give a time frame. They just said, well, it's official. He's, they're officially declaring him dead by the state, and he's been gone for a while. And we kind of assumed, but we don't
Yeah.
know for sure.
Well, and we also assumed that was who the new Wolfman is, or whatever the Wolfman was, because it made a little bit sense. Because they're like, oh, the father's disappeared, and we have to go to his farm. And just when you see the dad as let's call him Grandpa Wolfman, Grandpa Wolfman, you could see a lot of his. He's not turned 100% like we've seen in other Wolfman movies, and that's what we're talking about. The human aspect is still there. He has some tattoos that were still there. They don't fully turn him any of the wolf people in this film, which is the creepy part, I think, as well. There's still a human element, and that's like the sad part, I guess, when you become a Wolfman in this Blumhouse world, is that you still got that man inside of you, and that's a tricky thing. But the wolf on wolf action was really cool. I just wish we got more of it, and there was some kind of maybe a couple scenes where I kind of chuckled. I was like the truck jumping scene. I was like, that's kind of a lot of careless stuff was happening.
Yes. And there's a lot of things like that I think are kind of cliche now of like, oh, we're in the forests of Oregon or wherever they're at, and like we have no cell service. I'm like, yeah, okay. I kind of roll my eyes a little bit because that's always a setup for these kinds of horror movies. It's like we're out in the middle of nowhere, we have no cell service. And that's just a way to get cell phones out of the picture. We don't have to worry about cell phones and how we interact with technology, and it's fine. But yeah.
Yeah, I mean it's an entertaining film. I don't think it's the worst movie that ever came out in a January. What do we call it? Dumpuary or whatever.
We're in the midst of Dumpuary.
I just thought it could have done better as a stronger R rating. It could have done a little bit more, I think, to kind of more scare tactics, more scary stuff, maybe to please that fan base that really where people go watch Blumhouse movies because they want to get scared or just love that genre. It's super strong because this one was a kind of a hybrid film to me, and didn't really fully go all in with the horror aspect of it.
Can we talk a little bit about the Universal monsters at large?
The plan, yeah, because I'm disappointed that we're not getting a Brendan Fraser the Mummy. We're getting another version of Mummy, but it's by the Evil Dead director. Which one? Which Evil Dead director is it? Because there was two newer ones. So which one was
doing
it?
what? Do we know for sure?
Yeah, the new Mummy movie. But go ahead as I pull up this information on what you think about the future of the Universal monsters, but it's with Blumhouse.
It's like there were so many of these movies in the 30s, 40s, and 50s, and so many Dracula movies and spinoffs, and just like a lot of it's not very good, or people get offended me saying that, but there's been a lot. And then there was kind of a huge gap there in the 80s and 90s where there wasn't much until the Brendan Fraser Mummy movie came out, and it was obviously successful and spawned a whole franchise. But then beyond that, yeah, the Wolfman movie that came out in 2010, I don't think it did particularly well at the box office. I'm trying to look. $150 million budget. That's insane. And it made 142 million. So it didn't make back its budget. But then, of course they did Dracula Untold. You remember that one?
I saw that.
Luke
Like,
Evans.
I guess it's on Max. It's not that bad, but
Oh, and it
I'm just
actually
t-
made money
yeah.
surprisingly in a movie that I don't think many people really
I'm
remember.
not gonna lie. I think I'm tired of Dracula.
Yeah, I think there's a lot of people that share that sentiment, and um,
Like I don't want to see another vampire movie since we just saw Nosferatu for 4 years at least. Like,
but we, you know, of course, they tried to do the whole dark universe intertwined thing with the
which
Mummy
they're still
movie with
doing in the
Tom
park,
Cruise, and
and they're still doing in the park at least. The theme parks
right,
will be having
and
the Dark Universe.
the dark universe stuff in the theme park looks awesome. Like
Yeah, that looks
if you've
cool.
seen what they're doing there in the animatronics they have of the Universal monsters, it's like
Year
some of the most
round.
advanced things
Yeah.
that they've ever made in theme parks, especially in the Universal parks. It looks amazing. So they've kind of gone all in this in the theme parks. But I think that's what I wanted to point out is like that Mummy movie bombed with Tom Cruise. The Invisible Man movie did great, especially considering it was made for $7 million and
Yeah,
it
it was
made
early for Blumhouse. It was like a really early success and really where they got their feet kind of going and doing things. And real quick, the Evil Dead Rise director Lee Cronin is directing the new Mummy,
okay. Well, I mean, then you had Renfield, which didn't do well. You have The Last Voyage of the Demeter,
which it was okay.
which did
It was
that
not that
one
great.
do well? No, it didn't do
No,
well. Abigail, which is like barely a Universal Monsters movie. I mean, it is vampire, you know,
it's a daughter.
Dracula is
Yeah, it's
essentially
daughter.
referenced.
It's Dracula's daughter.
Um,
Yeah,
and that movie did it made more than its budget, but not much. So it's like these, and then now you've got Wolfman, which I'm kind of shocked to see that Invisible Man was made for $7 million and Wolfman was made for 25 million. So they spent a lot more on it. And
Oregon is a very expensive place.
yeah, yeah, sure. I don't know, man. I love the Universal monsters and would love to see more and see some new interpretations, but it just seems like other than the Invisible Man movie, like people are not showing up for these movies. So I don't know what the future holds. I mean, obviously you've mentioned that the Mummy movie that's coming, and I know that there's a Bride of Frankenstein
There's
movie
two
that's coming
Frankenstein
out.
movies. There's two. There's the Maggie Gyllenhaal Bride movie, and then there's
Right.
the Guillermo del Toro Frankenstein movie, which comes out I think both the same years, and which is wild. The Maggie Gyllenhaal one seems like a more modern one, not like present day, but a
And that one's
weird.
for sure coming this year. So you know, we know that's coming out. There's images from it. It's Christian Bale as Frankenstein's monster, and I really like her, and I can't think of her name. It's oh, this is gonna bother me. I'm trying to look it up quickly. This is great podcasting. We are live. We're super live.
The Bride comes out in 2025 with Christian Bale starring as the monster, and Jesse Buckley is also
Jesse Buckley, thank you.
Jake
I
Gyllenhaal is
absolutely love
also in here.
her.
Her brother's also in here, which is wild, which is really cool. And then you also have Peter Sarsgaard in here, and Penelope Cruz is apparently in this. I hope this is all right. What I'm seeing on IMDb.
Yeah, that's what I'm seeing as well on the good old
1930s
Wikipedia.
Chicago. This is what's interesting. It's Frankenstein traveling to 1930s Chicago, and finding and creating the bride. And so that's pretty interesting. And it says musical maybe in it. Who knows? Maybe there's a.
Is it?
This is supposed to. I don't know. It's just an interesting movie, and it's Maggie Gyllenhaal.
It is called The Bride with an
Yes,
exclamation mark at the end. The exclamation mark is key here.
that could be the the musical aspects of it. But to be honest, like that's great. Like, and this is a cool version of what they're doing, and what Guillermo del Toro will end up doing would be great. But I'm just sad that the Mummy is not getting a Brendan Fraser reboot, and like I would love to see him come back, do another Mummy movie, and then like have him go like run into other like horror Universal monsters. That'd be kind of cool too to tie it all together. It's a missed opportunity, but it's also Blumhouse has their hand in everything now, and I guess they have a lot of agreements and rights to things right now, and I don't know how long that's gonna go for. I like Blumhouse, but they're doing too much. They're like Blumhouse at A24 doing a little bit too much, maybe, and it's more about quantity over quality sometimes.
I'm looking to see. Oh yeah, this does say 2025 for Guillermo del Toro's movie. I knew Jacob Elordi was playing Frankenstein's monster in that. Oscar
Yes,
Isaac's playing Victor Frankenstein. It's got a good cast too. Mia Goth, Christoph Waltz, or
Ralph
yeah,
Ineson, who's going to be voicing Galactus in Fantastic
he's
Four.
he is also in Nosferatu. So Ralph Ineson, he's He's around, Dracula and now Frankenstein. He was in the first Omen, so he's around,
As long as
doing all
these
these horror
movies come
movies.
out around Halloween, like what is up with these movies coming out in non-scary times?
I
That's
think
what
the
would.
main thing, well, the thing is with horror is like horror kind of does well no matter what time of year. I mean, I love to
Yeah.
see them at Halloween time, but they tend to do well box office wise regardless because people like going to go see horror movies in theaters.
Yeah. So
But
there's a lot of universal monsters or whatever you want to call them. Classic monsters are trying to make a comeback. We'll see how they do, like the rest. Um, but Wolfman, I gave it 3.5 out of 5 stars, Drew. That's where I'm at. I thought it was a solid addition to Werewolf canon. Um, it's not a win for Blumhouse, technically, if we're talking box office numbers, but I thought for what they want to do with this, it was a pretty good addition to the Blumhouse kind of like titles that they have. Just wish it was kind of more scary, even though I don't like horror. I wish I was actually scared. Um, but yeah, I thought it was solid. Would you give it?
I'll probably give it now in hindsight, like a 3 out of 5. Like
Yeah,
I'm right down the middle.
yeah, it's a
I'm a little
solid
bit
watch.
higher now on it, I think, than when I left the theater because I've now had a few days to sit on it. But overall, I'd say I liked it. I just feel like I don't know. There's something lacking from it. Something I would have liked to see a little bit more. But overall, I still
Maybe
thought
you want to see
it was
better
an enjoyable
decisions.
time.
Like Emmanuel says, jumping on top of the greenhouse was a dumb choice. I thought that was a weird choice. And when they left the
Yeah.
cabin to go to the truck, I didn't think they locked it. So I don't know why they went back and had to unlock it. Because why would you lock? You just don't help yourself. If you unlock something and you need to run back to, you might as well just keep it unlocked.
That's the thing with this movie, right? Like it has those kinds of moments where you're like just kind of classic horror of like, don't go here. Why'd
A
you do
couple
that?
things.
Did
It
you do
wasn't as
that?
bad as you would think, though. I thought there was gonna have worse decision making or horrible roll my eyes, but I really didn't roll my eyes. I was like, okay, it's a couple things were kind of off, but not like
Because every
decision
time
after
that I
decision.
would be about to roll my eyes, they would do something cool, like the
Yeah,
moment with the spider and the sound and perception. Like I really enjoyed that. There were a lot of cool things that would throw me and be like, okay, I really like that idea, and then it would go back to being a little bit more run of the mill. But there was enough there for me to like it. It didn't exceed my expectations in the same way that the Invisible Man movie did. So if I'm
yeah,
comparing the two, I know it's not apples to apples, but
no.
still.
So the question was, is Wolfman all bark and no bite? I know Emmanuel did say it was all bark, no bite. I thought it was a emotional bite, and what that we're trying to play at, and I welcome it.
I
I
would
welcome.
say it was like a grazed bite. Like, oh, like you start to get bit and kind of pull it away and you get stung a little bit, but you're okay. You don't need a band-aid or anything. That's where I'm at.
Yeah. But yeah, we finally saw this one, in a timely manner. I don't know what's next for us, but we'll figure that one out. Unless Drew, you can mention what we're probably gonna do next. But
I don't know. I mean, the next movie, I feel like the next release that's coming out is Flight Risk, the Mark
mhm.
Wahlberg film. I don't know if we're going to see that. I don't know. We'll have to look and see what's coming out. I'd still like to talk about movies. I did. This isn't a theatrical release, but I did watch the Cameron Diaz, Jamie Foxx.
Back in action,
Yeah, I
right?
did watch that. Not very good. I didn't think that was
Uh,
very good.
hmm. All I've been doing is binging my Malcolm in the Middle.
Yeah, I think I'm just gonna. A lot of my stuff is going to be continuing to get caught up on the award season movies that I
Yeah.
haven't seen yet.
So we got more stuff coming y'all's way. We'll do some different stuff maybe as we go on. 2025, we want to experiment, and this has been fun doing the live stream, and I like doing this for sure. I know it's different, but I really like it. So thank y'all for joining, and make sure you do visit nerdtropolis.com for all of our reviews. I did watch September 5, Drew. I have a
Ooh, I
review up
want
for
to see
September
it. I
5.
do want to see it.
Yeah, that's a historical drama. Also follow us on social media. Make sure you are subscribed to this YouTube channel. Hit that bell. I got a lot of awesome interviews coming your way, and a lot of stuff probably y'all haven't seen that's sitting on the channel. There's a lot of stuff as we're nearing. We're on the pace for a million views. It looks like.
Incredible.
There's a little bit of a jump, but we're almost there. We're like at the 900,000 right now. That's pretty good right now. So thank y'all for tuning in. Don't forget to subscribe and share all the Nerdtropolis content we have coming your way. And Drew, we're gonna see everyone. We're at
At the movies, of course.
Yes. Thanks again for joining us for another episode of the Moviegoers Society. And like Drew said, we will see all of you at the movies.